People come to me either because they want to learn how to write a screenplay or because they want to improve their writing skills. In this video, I'm going to share some of my recommendations for learning resources. The following books each have their own perspectives, which I have found valuable. Every learner is different and every teacher has their own unique way of sharing information, so find a book and a method that works for you. First on the list, we've got That's Not the Way It Works by Bob Saenz. Bob Saenz is a working screenwriter, and by that I mean his bread and butter comes from commissioned projects, which, last I heard, is at 22. And I'll just read the back review here, because this is just a great explanation of who Bob is. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person. Very down-to-earth man. Bob's book is full of blunt force honesty every screenwriter should digest, even if it means choking it down. It'll save them years of missteps. As Script Magazine's Balls of Steel writer and editor-in-chief, I deeply appreciate Bob's candor in telling writers what we need to hear, not what people think we want to hear. If knowledge is power, then Bob has supplied us with a mighty arsenal to take over the writing world. Without reservation, I'll be enthusiastically recommending it to every writer who calls me for advice. So if you like someone who will tell you how it is and tell you how it's not, that's a great book for you. And it's got a lot in it. I mean, that's a thick book, so there's a lot there. Next, I've got here Writing Screenplays That Sell. Okay, this is by Michael Haig, and he's written several things. He's been teaching for quite a while. I'm going to read the inside review here. There's a lot of them, and it's very helpful. I have found this extremely helpful, partly because I can skip to the sections that I'm working on specifically. Okay, so by far the best screenwriting book I've ever read. Michael Haig's wise and humane approach to story and character development is the only one that consistently works for me. I make sure to consult this book whenever I begin a project, and again, when I run into trouble. Very well said. All right, so that's one of my recommendations. Because the thing is, I mean, on the one hand, you may want to write just for the fun of writing, but if you're thinking you want to actually write something that's going to sell, those two books focus on that. Next, we've got Dr. Format Tells All. This is such a helpful book. So many times when you're writing a screenplay and you write something that's new and you're like, wait, how do I format that? How would I write that kind of a scene? This is fantastic for that. Dr. Format teaches you how to direct the camera without using camera directions. He goes beyond the rules and gives you practical applications that will expand your writing skills. According to the doctor, understanding spec formatting and writing is a key to crafting a great screenplay. Let Dr. Format help you do just that. That was like one of my favorite things that I learned from this book. When you're writing a screenplay, you're not allowed to direct the director. So how do you get that information across without telling the director what to do? Dr. Format tells all. Next on the list, we've got The Nutshell Technique. This is by Jill Chamberlain, and I've actually taken one of her classes. This particular method actually completely it launched me forward in my storytelling. I really struggled with screenwriting structure for a long time. And when I learned the Nutshell Technique, all of a sudden I understood what to do. I knew what was missing. This is one of my favorite pieces of the process when I am putting together a story. If I cannot fit it into the Nutshell Technique, I know I'm not ready to write it. And so I definitely would encourage you to learn this technique. It's answering some very simple questions in order to make sure that you know your story has legs. Next is Save the Cat, and you're going to hear people say they loved or hated this book. The thing with this book is that Blake Snyder has done a great job with just very casually leading you through all the different aspects of screenwriting. When I say casually, what I mean is that it feels like you're sitting down at a coffee shop with someone and he's just shooting the breeze, telling you his understanding of how screenwriting works. And he gets into breaking down a lot of things with structure and even getting into genre. And you'll find a lot of people will use some of the terminology that's in this book, whether they even use the book as part of how they structure their own story or not. Like bad guys close in, fun and games, like you may have heard those kinds of things. That's from Save the Cat. And so I would encourage you to read it, even if you don't necessarily use it. Like I don't use the beat sheet itself, but there's so much more in this book beyond just the beat sheet. And I found it very enjoyable to read. I just geeked out on screenwriting with this guy for the book. So I would recommend that one. Next, we've got The Story Solution with Eric Edson. This one really helped me to hone my skills with characters and understanding their role within the story. And also even just understanding how to quantify change within the story. How do I know that I've got a flow that's working? And so those two things were the biggest things that I found from The Story Solution. And I want to encourage you to check that one out. That one, it does have more of an academic read to it, but he also has some resources on his website. So check that out. The Screenwriter's Bible, David Trottier. Okay, yes, David Trottier. He actually, the Screenwriter's Bible, talking about academic approach, that one is definitely an academic kind of book. There are exercises in there. It's still digestible, but it feels like you are absolutely learning through that book. Like the Save the Cat can feel like you're just having fun and geeking out. But the Screenwriter's Bible is definitely like your goal right now is to learn. And I did fully enjoy that because when I am in a learning mood, I want to learn. And so I appreciated that. I have enjoyed this book I read it at the very beginning when I decided that I wanted to pursue screenwriting as a career. And I found it gave me a really firm foundation of what I should expect from the process. Actually, I believe that was the book that had the line where it was saying that the screenwriters that make it are not the ones that are the most talented. They're the ones that just keep going. Like they don't give up. And that really spoke to me, and it's stuck with me every time that I've gone through a valley where I've wondered what am I doing, because I was having trouble learning some aspect of writing. So I definitely appreciated that. And then, of course, my own book, In the Beginning, Middle, and End, A Screenwriter's Observations of Life, Character, and God. That one is going to be different than all the rest. While we definitely get into character development and story development and understanding how a journey works, it's from a perspective of going back and forth between being the author and being the character in the story where God is the author. So while you are definitely going to learn some aspects of screenwriting and storytelling in general, you're going to also be challenged in your own life and your own journey and being the main character in your own life and wondering, where are you going with that? But yeah, I have heard from writers that it really challenged and inspired them to dive back into their writing projects, and that way they understood my method for how I approach storytelling and character development. Those are my recommendations. There's obviously a lot more books out there. These are the ones that I have enjoyed the most and that I would recommend.